Welcome back. If you were here for the last video, the one with the 5 disturbing crime stories, you already know how this works. These stories aren't rushed, they aren't loud, and they're not meant to shock you awake. Tonight is a little different. Instead of crime, you'll be listening to 5 true-style scary stories, the kind that settle in slowly, the kind that feel calm at first, and unsettling only after you've had time to think about them. If this is your first time here, you're in the right place. These stories are meant to be listened to late at night, with the lights off, rain in the background, and nothing else demanding your attention. You don't need to stay alert. You don't need to fight sleep. If you enjoy this kind of quiet horror, you are welcome to subscribe. New stories like this are uploaded regularly, and they're always designed to be listened to the same way. Slowly, calmly, and without interruption. Now, get comfortable. Let the rain play into the background. And when you're ready, we'll begin the first story. Story 1. The house that exhaled at night. I moved into the quietest house I'd ever lived in. That's how I noticed. When it started breathing, I rented the place because it felt safe. 1 floor, old paint, a long hallway that ended at my bedroom door. At night, the house settled the way old houses do. Wood ticking softly, a pipe sighing in the walls. Normal sounds. Familiar ones. The kind that usually help you fall asleep. But the first night I heard it, I thought it was the wind. A slow, drawn-out sound, almost gentle. In, then out. I remember smiling to myself because it matched my breathing. I lay there in the dark, counting the rhythm, letting it pull me closer to sleep. But the house didn't stop. When I did, the sound kept going, in, out. Even when I held my breath to listen more closely. Even when the air outside was completely still. It wasn't loud. It wasn't frightening yet. It was patient. The second night, I noticed it started at the same time, just after 2 in the morning. I checked the clock because I was already awake with insomnia. 2:07 a.m. Right on time that the sound returned, not from the vents, not from the windows. It felt like it came from the walls themselves, from somewhere deep in the hallway. I told myself old houses make patterns. They expand, they contract. If you listen long enough, your mind fills in the gaps. That thought helped me relax. I let the sound rock me, the way waves do, when you trust the shore. On the third night, I got out of bed and stepped into the hallway. The sound was clearer there, deeper, slower. Standing still felt wrong, like I was interrupting something private. I placed my hand against the wall. It was cool, solid, quiet dash dash. Until I leaned in closer, that's when I felt it. Not heard it, felt it. A faint push of air against my knuckles, in, then out. I laughed softly to myself. Just nerves, I thought. A tired mind playing tricks. I went back to bed and slept better than I had in weeks. But just before drifting off, I noticed something small. Something I tried not to think about. The rhythm had changed. It wasn't matching my breathing anymore. It was waiting for me to follow it instead. Story 2. The last bus stops at 2:40. I only took the night bus because it helped me sleep. I didn't realize it was designed that way. I worked late shifts for almost a year, and the last bus home became routine. Same route, same empty streets, same driver who never spoke. By the time we pulled away from the station, the lights inside were dim, and the engine hummed in a low, steady way that felt intentional. It was easy to fall asleep on that bus. The stop times were burned into my mind. 2:10, 2:25, final stop at 2:40. I liked knowing exactly where I was, even with my eyes closed. It made the dark feel harmless, predictable. One night I woke up between stops. Not suddenly, just aware. The bus was still moving, but slower than usual. Too slow. The streetlights outside were spaced farther apart now, and I didn't recognize the road. Trees pressed close to the windows, their branches brushing the glass in a soft, repeating rhythm. I checked my phone. No signal. The time read 2:41. That didn't make sense. I looked around. The bus wasn't empty anymore. A few rows ahead of me, someone sat perfectly still. No phone, no bag, just hands folded neatly in their lap. Farther back, another shape by the window, upright, waiting. No one looked at anyone else. I told myself they must have gotten on earlier and I hadn't noticed. That happens when you're tired, when you let your guard down. The engine's hum deepened, almost like a lullaby, and my eyes started to close again. That's when I realized something else. The bus hadn't stopped in a long time, and the driver hadn't checked the mirror once. The road curved deeper into the trees and the passengers remained silent, as if the ride wasn't meant to end yet. The bus felt warmer than usual, not uncomfortable, heavy, like the air itself had weight. I shifted in my seat, and the person across the aisle shifted too, at the exact same moment. That's when I noticed the breathing, not loud, not obvious, just a steady pattern filling the bus, rising, falling, together. Every passenger inhaled and exhaled in sync, like they'd practiced it. I tried not to listen, tried not to join in. The driver finally moved. His hand reached up and adjusted the mirror. For a split second, our eyes met. He didn't look surprised to see me awake. His mouth didn't move, but the words appeared anyway, calm and clear inside my head. If you want to get off, you have to pretend to sleep. It sounded easy enough. I let my eyes close and slowed my breathing. The hum of the engine wrapped around me, gentle and low. For a moment, it almost worked. My thoughts drifted, my body relaxed. Then the bus turned. The motion felt wrong, too smooth, like sliding instead of steering. The pressure in my ears changed. I opened my eyes just a fraction. The windows no longer showed trees, just darkness. Thick and close, like fog without texture. The passengers were still there, but their faces weren't clear anymore. Features blurred, softened, like they were being remembered instead of seen. One of them tilted their head toward me, too far, too slow. I closed my eyes again and went completely still. The bus slowed, the engine softened. I felt the air shift, like doors opening. A voice, quiet, close, not the driver's, whispered near my ear. Not this stop. The bus moved again, and I realized the worst part. I was getting better at staying asleep, and something on that bus noticed. After that night, the bus started waiting for me. If I ran late, it stayed. Engine idling, doors open, empty seats facing forward like they were reserved. The driver never looked back, but I felt the expectation. Calm, patient, certain, each ride felt longer. The streets outside faded faster. The darkness pressed closer to the windows, and the passengers increased by one or two every night. Always quiet, always upright, always breathing together. I learned the rules without being told. Don't speak. Don't look directly at anyone. And whatever you do, don't fall asleep too deeply. Because when someone did, they didn't wake up at stops anymore. One night, a woman across from me nodded off, just briefly. Her head tilted, then settled. The bus slowed, not fully, just enough. The doors opened and something outside inhaled. When the bus moved again, her seat was empty. No sound, no reaction. The driver adjusted the mirror again. This time, his eyes held mine longer. Last chance, the voice said, stay awake. But the bus was so warm, the rhythm so gentle. My eyelids felt heavy, and I understood the real danger. Not fear, comfort. The bus didn't trap you. It convinced you to stay. As the clock on my phone rolled toward 2:40, the bus slowed more than it ever had before. The darkness outside shifted, waiting, and I felt myself slipping closer to sleep. At exactly 2:40, the bus stopped completely. No hiss of brakes, no jolt, just stillness. The engine continued its soft hum like it was reminding us how to breathe. The doors opened, and the darkness outside felt close enough to touch. The driver finally turned his head. End of the line, he said quietly. No one stood up. I stayed seated, eyes half closed, body heavy but alert. I remembered what he'd told me. Pretend to sleep, but don't actually do it. So I let my breathing slow. let my head tilt forward, let my thoughts blur without disappearing. The bus waited, seconds passed, maybe minutes. Then softly the doors closed. The engine deepened, the bus began to move again. When I opened my eyes, the windows showed streetlights, familiar ones. The bus rolled into my stop like it always had. I got off shaking. I never took that bus again. Months later, someone from work mentioned the route, said it had been discontinued. No riders, no demand, no record of late night stops after 2:40. But sometimes when I'm drifting off to sleep, I swear I hear that engine, that low, steady hum. And for just a moment, I have to remind myself, I already got off. Story 3. Someone else uses my sleep app. Approximately 10 minutes. I downloaded the sleep app to track my breathing. That's how I found out I wasn't the only one using it. I've always slept lightly, not badly, just aware. The kind of sleep where sounds drift into dreams and disappear again. The app was meant to help. It recorded breathing, tracked movement, and gently woke you if something felt wrong. The first few nights were uneventful. Smooth graphs, clean lines, notes like steady breathing and minimal disturbance. It was comforting. Proof that my body knew how to rest, even when my mind didn't. On the fourth night, the app flagged something new. Additional breathing detected. I laughed. The app explained it could be pets, partners, background noise. I lived alone. No pets. Quiet building. I dismissed it. That night, I slept deeper than usual. In the morning, the graph looked different. 2 breathing patterns. One was mine, uneven, familiar. The other was smoother, slower, almost perfect. The note read, synchronization event detected. I felt calm looking at it, too calm, the kind of calm that makes you stop asking questions. Over the next several nights, the second pattern returned, always at the same time, always gone by morning. The app stopped calling it an error. It labeled it consistent. I tried staying awake to catch it. Every time I did, I'd blink, and hours would pass. No dreams, no memory, just sleep. One morning, I noticed something unsettling. The second breathing pattern wasn't just steady, it was slowly becoming more like mine. Or maybe mine was becoming more like it. I went into the settings. There was a new tab I didn't remember installing. Optimization. Inside were suggestions. Try slower exhales. Match the recommended rhythm for deeper rest. The recommended rhythm matched the second breathing pattern exactly. That night, I left the app on. I told myself I wanted more data. I placed the phone on the nightstand screen down and lay still. The room felt calm, decided, like the night already knew how it would end. Sleep came quickly. Sometime later, I don't know when, I became aware of breathing that wasn't mine. Not a sound, a presence, an air moving close enough to feel but not touch. I didn't move. I told myself it was imagination. In the morning, the app summary was longer than usual. User successfully adjusted. Synchronization improved. My breathing graph was nearly identical to the second one now. Smooth, even, not how I normally breathe at all. I tried taking a sharp inhale. It felt wrong, like swimming against a current. That day I felt unusually rested, calm, focused. People commented on it. But one thought wouldn't leave me. I didn't remember falling asleep anymore. And worse, I didn't remember waking up either. The next night I tested it. I left the app running, but stayed awake. Lights on, sitting up, watching the phone's faint glow. At 2:12 a.m., the phone vibrated. Secondary user detected. The room felt heavier instantly. My breathing slowed without permission. The app began playing a tone I hadn't chosen. Low, gentle, instructional. I stood up. The tone didn't stop. The app continued recording, showing 2 breathing patterns, even though I was awake and holding my breath. The second pattern was stronger now. Dominant. The notes updated in real time. Primary user fatigue detected. Initiating transfer. That's when I felt it. Not fear, relief. The certainty that I didn't need to manage sleep anymore. That something else was better at it than I was. I sat back down on the bed. The tone slowed, stretched, pulled my breathing into its rhythm. My thoughts softened, spread thin, like they were being shared. In the morning, the phone was face down. The summary was short. Session complete. Primary role reassigned. I lay there breathing evenly, calm, and unsure which of us had slept. I deleted the app immediately. The phone lagged for a moment, like it was thinking. Then everything returned to normal. That night, I tried to sleep without it. The room felt empty. Not quiet, empty. My breathing was uneven again, shallow. I kept waking up, searching for a rhythm that wasn't there. Sometime after midnight, I woke to familiar calm. My breathing had smoothed out. I reached for my phone. The app wasn't installed. The screen was dark. But the calm remained, steady, patient, guiding my chest up and down. In the morning, my health tracker showed perfect sleep, better than ever before. No source listed. Now I don't use any apps. I don't track anything. I just breathe, slowly, evenly. Because sometimes when sleep comes too easily, I get the feeling I'm not the one doing it anymore. And whoever is seems very experienced. Story 4. The room that only appears when you're tired. I found the room on a night when I was too tired to question it. That's probably why. It let me in. I'd lived in the apartment for 3 years. Same layout, same narrow hallway. Bedroom on the left, bathroom at the end. Nothing unusual. When you're tired enough, your home turns into muscle memory. You stop really seeing it. You move through it by instinct, half awake, trusting that everything will be where it's always been. That night, I came home late, the kind of late, where your thoughts feel soft around the edges like they've already started drifting. I didn't turn on the lights. I didn't need to. I stepped into the hallway and walked forward, without thinking. That's when I saw the door. It was between the bedroom and the bathroom. Plain, white, closed. I stopped walking, confused, but not alarmed. My first thought wasn't, this shouldn't be here. It was. I must have forgotten about it. That's how tired I was. I reached out and opened it. Inside was a small room. No windows, just a single chair, a standing lamp, and thick carpet. That swallowed the sound of my footsteps. The air was warm and still, like the room had been holding its breath. The lamp turned on by itself, casting a soft yellow glow. That didn't quite reach the corners. I stepped inside. I sat down without deciding to. The chair was comfortable in a way that felt intentional, like it had been shaped over time by people who needed rest more than answers. My shoulders dropped, my breathing slowed. The exhaustion I'd been carrying all day settled into something heavier, calmer. I remember thinking I could sleep here. That's when I noticed the walls. They weren't blank. They were covered in faint marks, lines, scratches, shallow grooves etched into the surface. Tallies, some neat and careful, others jagged and deep like whoever made them had been rushing, or desperate, or too tired to do it cleanly. I leaned forward to look closer. Behind me, the door closed on its own. Slow, quiet, not sudden, not threatening, just finished, as if the room knew. I wouldn't need it open yet. I didn't panic. That's the part that bothers me now. I just stayed there, breathing slowly, wrapped in the same calm. That comes right before sleep takes over. The lamp hummed softly, not a sound you really hear, more something you feel low in your chest. I traced the tallies. With my eyes, they weren't random. They were grouped, counted, carefully. I stood and ran my fingers over them. The grooves were warm. When I turned back toward the chair, something was different. A small indentation on the armrest, fresh, like someone had just stood up. Moments before I sat down, I told myself it was nothing. Furniture shifts, apartments settle, tired minds invent patterns. Still, I didn't want to sit again. I reached for the door handle. It turned easily. No lock, no resistance, but when I pulled it, the door didn't open. It wasn't stuck. It felt like pulling against thick air. Not solid, just heavy, reluctant. Behind me, the lamp dimmed slightly. A thought settled into my mind, calm and certain, like it had always been there. You rest here first. It didn't sound like a voice. It felt like remembering a rule I'd known my whole life, but had forgotten. Until now. So I sat back down. The moment I did it, the pressure eased. The lamp brightened. The air warmed. My breathing slowed again, sinking with something deeper. Slower. Something built. Into the room itself. That's when I understood what the tallies were. They weren't counting days, they were counting people. And most of them had rested here more than once. I don't know how long I stayed. Time felt padded, dash, dash, like sound in that thick carpet. My thoughts softened. Each time my eyes drifted closed, the chair adjusted slightly, supporting me better, learning my shape. The lamp dimmed a little more. Then I noticed a new mark on the wall, a single shallow line, fresh, pale against the others. I was sure it hadn't been there before. I stood and touched it, still warm. The room responded, the lamp brightened, just enough to soothe. The air pressed gently against my chest, guiding my breathing. Lower, slower. That's when it clicked. The room wasn't trapping me, it was pacing me. Rest first, then decide. I thought about my bed, the hallway, the normal shape of my apartment. Those thoughts felt distant, like remembering a place I used to live. The chair felt closer, safer, designed. Another line appeared. On the wall, I stepped back. No, I whispered. The word sounded strange. In the room, like it hadn't been used often. The lamp flickered. Not angry, just disappointed. The door became clearer, more defined. I walked toward it, each step heavier than the last. The carpet pulled at me, encouraging me to sink in. My breathing tried to slow again. To match the room, I forced it uneven. Human. At the door, I paused. I wondered how many people had made it this far, and how many had decided they were too tired to keep choosing. I pulled the door open, like dragging myself. Out of deep water. The hallway was there, unchanged, familiar. I stepped through, the door closed behind me, with a soft, careful sound. When I turned around, there was no door, just the wall I'd known for years. I slept badly that night, shallow, restless. I kept waking with the feeling that I'd forgotten something important, the kind of forgetting that aches instead of leaving a blank. The next morning, I noticed faint lines on my arm, parallel scratches, barely visible, counting marks. They faded by evening, but I knew what they meant. The room appeared again. A week later, I was exhausted, worn down, walking the hallway. Without thinking, this time I saw the door immediately. I didn't open it. That was harder than leaving the first time. Now I understand the rule. The room doesn't appear. Because your home changes, it appears. Because you do. Because there's a level of tired where rest stops being a choice and starts feeling like permission. Some nights, when sleep won't come, I swear I can feel that chair again, shaping itself to me, patient, keeping count, and I understand why so many tallies were carved so deep. Story 5. If you hear this, you are already asleep. I found the recording buried deep in a sleep forum thread. It said, "Not to play it unless you were ready to rest." I didn't believe in audio tricks, binaural beats, hidden tones, whispered messages, layered under noise. None of it had ever worked on me. Still, I liked reading those forums. Late at night, people talk more honestly. When they're tired, less performance, more truth. The post itself was simple. No images, no links, no explanation. Just a short block of text. Play this when you're already in bed. Keep the volume low. If you're still awake when it ends, stop listening. That was it. Someone had replied underneath with a single sentence. It worked, but I don't remember falling asleep. That felt familiar, comforting even. I downloaded the file. It was short, just 10 minutes. The waveform looked almost flat, like silence, with a faint pulse, hidden inside. I waited until I was in bed, lights off, phone face down, on my chest, then I pressed play. At first there was nothing, and then, very gently, a sound like distant air moving through a long hallway. Not white noise, not rain, something steadier, intentional. My breathing slowed, without effort, sinking to a rhythm I hadn't noticed. Right away, I remember thinking that this is boring. That's when the sound changed, not louder, just closer, like it had moved from the room into my head. A soft pressure behind my eyes and a calm spreading downward and loosening thoughts as it went, smoothing them flat. I checked the time. 3 minutes had passed. The instructions came back to me. Delayed and soft if you're still awake when it ends. I tried to focus, tried to stay aware, but the sound didn't pull me under. It leveled everything out, like smoothing water before sleep settles in. Somewhere inside the noise, something repeated, not words, a pattern. And as I listened, I realized, with quiet certainty, this recording wasn't meant to make you fall asleep. It was meant to find out if you already were. I don't remember deciding to keep listening. The sound made that choice for me. It settled into a steady pulse, like a metronome placed behind my thoughts. Not fast, not slow, exactly right. Halfway through, something shifted. A faint tone slid beneath the noise, almost like a question, being asked without language. My chest responded before my mind could. In, out, in, out. My breathing matched it perfectly. Then I noticed a second layer, not sound, feedback. The recording reacted to me. When my breath wavered, the tone softened. When my thoughts drifted, it tightened gently, guiding me back, not forcing, correcting. That's when I understood why the forum post was so short, why nobody explained what the recording did. You couldn't describe it without waking someone up. The timer on my phone said 6 minutes had passed. I didn't remember. The last 3, the sound felt closer now, like it had moved fully into the space between my ears. For a brief moment, I felt something else listening, not to the audio, to me. The tone dipped, almost pleased. The noise thinned, leaving a narrow corridor of quiet that pulled my attention forward. I had the sense that something was waiting at the end of the track, and that when it reached it, it would know exactly how asleep I was. I became aware of my body, in pieces, hands first, then feet, heavy, warm, like they'd been placed somewhere safe and forgotten. The sound continued, steady, calm. But now there was space inside it, room for something else. A pause, not silence, expectation. The tone shifted again, barely perceptible, and I felt a response form inside me, not a thought, recognition, the way you know a room in the dark, the way you know you're home without needing proof. The recording wasn't playing anymore. I checked the phone, or thought I did. The idea of moving felt distant, optional. The sound remained, even without speakers. It breathed. When I breathed, It waited. When I waited, that's when I understood. The final rule, the audio didn't end. It handed you off. A presence settled in, gentle, observant. It didn't press, didn't rush. It simply matched me, breath for breath, thought for thought, until the line between what was mine and what wasn't grew thin. For a moment, panic flickered. The tone softened instantly. Reassuring, corrective. The panic dissolved, replaced by a calm so deep it felt earned, like something had decided I was safe enough to let go just before slipping. Fully under a final realization surfaced. This wasn't a test to see if you were asleep. It was a test to see if you could be guided there, and something on the other side of the sound was very good. At waiting, I woke up in the morning with my phone resting on my chest. The screen was dark, no app open, no audio playing, just my reflection. Calm, rested, unfamiliar, in how peaceful it looked. I checked the file. It was gone. Not deleted, not moved. The folder it had been in no longer existed. Even the forum thread had vanished. Dead link. No cache, no replies, like it had never been there at all. That should have scared me. Instead, I felt grateful. That night I went to bed without searching for it. I didn't need to. The moment I lay down, my breathing slowed. On its own, the same rhythm, the same gentle pacing, like something familiar, settling nearby, not touching, just close enough to guide. That's when I understood why the warning mattered. If you're still awake, when it ends, stop listening, because if it works, you don't need to hear it again. Sometimes late at night, I wonder how many people found that recording, how many now fall asleep, effortlessly, never questioning why rest comes so easily. And if you're listening to this story while drifting off, breathing slow, thoughts soft, there's a chance that you already understand. Tonight, you heard 5 stories, different places, different rules, but they all shared something. None of them chased fear. They waited for it. These weren't stories meant to shock you awake. They were meant to sit with you, to blend into the quiet moments, when your thoughts slow and your breathing finds its own rhythm. If one of these stories stayed with you, even after the words faded, that's normal. Some ideas don't leave right away. They follow you gently into sleep and finish themselves when you're not fully listening anymore. If this is the kind of calm horror you enjoy, you can subscribe. New stories like this are always waiting here. Slow, quiet, and meant to be heard the same way. But for now, there's nothing else you need to do. Let the rain continue. Let your breathing settle. You don't have to stay awake. And if sleep comes easily tonight, don't question it. We'll be here when you wake up. Good night.